When a complex civilization fails, it slides into a specific, predictable attractor in phase space. Verse 85:4 defines this historical pit not as a location, but as a topological groove known as the trench. The Arabic root ukhdūd describes a structural signature. It is a groove physically carved into the medium by repeated cyclical motion. This fallen stone pharaoh represents a specific data point in that groove, a high-energy system that failed to maintain its equilibrium. Societies separated by thousands of years, regardless of their technology or wealth, appear to gravitate toward this exact catastrophic failure mode. This recurring collapse indicates a localized thermodynamic failure, a Razim Trap embedded within the architecture of a Dual-Caustic universe. We are looking at a repeatable cycle of recursive systemic collapse, a physical equation that demands a structural solution. Verse 969 identifies the identical nature of these inputs. Misaligned civilizations do not simply repeat the past, they are subject to the same field constraints. We can map these inputs to thermodynamic variables, specifically systemic pride and the hoarding of potential energy, described in the text as al-khayr. These inputs force the system into a positive feedback loop. Efficiency drops, friction increases, and the society enters a state of entropic decay. Escaping this loop requires a mathematical counterseal to alter the field curvature. Finding that seal requires a direct analysis of the three foundational mechanics governing the field. The interaction between the light field and the sound field is managed by the three-operator engine, or the 2-3-7 framework. The first operator, Raḥmān, maps to the thermodynamic free energy equation, F equals E minus Ts. Here, E represents the driving force, and Ts represents the capacity for entropy. The Raḥmān operator holds these forces in perfect non-dominant equilibrium, resulting in a stable, steady state. This balance is observable in the Sun. It processes massive energy output while remaining contained by stable boundary conditions. The outward pressure of nuclear fusion is met by the inward pull of gravity, mirroring the tension of the F equals E minus Ts balance. This precision prevents both runaway expansion and total gravitational collapse. Mathematically, the Raḥmān operator defines the state of sustainable, life-permitting potential energy. The second operator, Rahim, provides the structural alignment that locks deterministic causality in place. This manuscript represents Rahim, the book. It acts as the immutable code governing how energy must flow to maintain its coherence. This stands in contrast to the Iblīs anomaly, where a system asserts a theory, such as fire is superior to clay, without proving it through physical alignment. An unaligned theory cannot be sustained within the field. The structure itself rejects the assertion. Rahim requires the system to process information without generating excess entropy. Without Rahim's structural alignment, energy creates nothing but entropic friction. This Wigner phase space function shows distinct negative quasi-probability regions. These are the boundaries of the third operator, Razim. This filter forces decoherence on any system that lacks Rahim alignment. When an unaligned system processes energy, its trajectory strikes these boundaries and fractures. Razim functions as an impersonal binary separator between coherent truth and incoherent illusion. It operates through three mechanisms. First is the false vacuum, where pride creates a locally stable loop that is globally doomed. Next is positive feedback collapse, where unchecked energy exponentially amplifies systemic entropy. Finally, the entropy lure provides a path of least resistance that pulls unaligned systems towards the trench. The trench in verse 85:4 is the physical crater left behind when the Razim filter executes on an unaligned civilization. This boundary is mathematically inescapable. It verifies the truth of a system, or ensures its annihilation. Survival requires the opposite topological state. Verse 1810 identifies this as the cave. On this map, a violent attractor smooths into a perfectly still, isolated geometric basin. This global free energy minimum lies safely beyond the Razim filter. Achieving this isolation requires the Merriam-Yahya counterseal. The Merriam phase function stabilizes the entropy term, purifying the thermodynamic medium. The Yahya phase function simultaneously directs the energy term through strict adherence to structural laws. Locking these phase functions together flattens local curvature and neutralizes entropic feedback. By achieving this global minimum, the system instantiates the Raḥmān operator and becomes physically indestructible. Survival in the dual-caustic universe is a matter of mathematically bypassing the Razim filter through structural purification. Utilizing this framework requires a shift away from linear historical readings, which obscure the active mechanical systems governing our reality. This model treats figures like Ibrahim, Miriam, and Pharaoh as active field operators, the mathematical limits of the human field. This Mobius surface illustrates how the three operators interact. Raḥmān sustains the field, Rahim validates the structure, and Razim filters the noise. Proper alignment of these operators closes the loop, preventing the system from fracturing into chaos. To read the text is to lock your own light, sound, and buffer operators into this specific alignment. What remains after the Razim filter executes is the only configuration that reality permits to persist. These verses provide the topological blueprint and field equation necessary to navigate the Razim Trap within the Dual-Caustic universe.